Good day, everyone. Get started in just a minute. So this is uh, the group that the Mastermind referral group that started about a year ago to help people connect and give and get referrals. We kind of follow the principle that I learned over 30 years ago in sales training from Mr. Zig Ziglar, that you'll get all you want out of life if you help enough other people get what they want. And so that's kind of a principle that we live by here. And more recently, Anthony or Tony Robbins says the secret to living is giving. And so we like to come together and hear from someone in the group, present to the group so we can get a more in-depth understanding of what it is that they do and what they can offer to the group, and then what a good referral is for that person that's presenting. So look forward to hearing from Elaine today. I was just starting to barely scratch the surface on getting to know your hub, your health hub that you've created, and so very excited to get more details about that today. So without any further ado, turn the time over to Elaine.
Okay, thank you. So I'll give you a brief potted history. I have to give my excuses because I'm the new owner of an abandoned dog, and we have to go to the vet. The only time the vet could see us is 6 o'clock this evening, which is in less than an hour. So I'm only going to be here till just after 5:30. So apologies for that, but it is what it is. So a bit of background. I'm obviously from the UK, as you can tell by my accent, and I live in the Algarve in Portugal since 4 years ago. And it's jolly nice, love it to pieces, great weather, etc. These days I'm a freelance health mentor, and I particularly help people reverse serious illness, even including stage 4 cancer, which I did for myself in 2015. So nearly 9 years ago now, I had stage 4 cancer, and I beat it in 3 months. And I'd had 2 previous breast cancers as well. And I've since had skin cancer that I've dealt with, and regularly take pieces out of my body using natural methods. I'm a qualified nutritionist and biohacker in about, I don't know, 12, 15 years now. But I used to run law firms. I was chief executive, chief managing partner of not chief managing partner, I was managing partner of various law firms, and also I was chief operating officer at Ernst & Young. I ran one of their consulting divisions in London. Prior to that, I was with my second husband and our business in London, which was kitchen design and installation. And we had 4 showrooms. We had we did all Harrods work. So in my early 20s, I was project managing kitchen fits. So I can't go into anybody's kitchen these days without, giving a critical eye over it. So I've trained myself to keep my mouth shut. Oh, wouldn't put that there and wouldn't put this here or whatever. And I've been a police officer. I've managed a band. I've been strangled and left for dead. I've taken the band on tour. I've done all kinds of things over the years, but I've never been happier and healthier than I am at the moment. I've had loads of money. I've had no money. I've been homeless. I've lived like a millionaire and everything in between, but I'm the poorest I've ever been at the moment, but I'm the happiest and healthiest. So you can't put a price on that. And I love the life that I have. So one of the things that I've done over the years, I've learned about behavioral profiling way back in the 90s. And I've kind of made that an integral part of whatever I do. I've been a business consultant as well, on and off for the last 20 years. And run various different projects and transformational change with team analysis and so on. So does anybody here identify when I say about DISC behavioral profiling? We just have a show of hands if you know what I'm talking about. Okay, no hands, right. Oh, one hand, okay. So what I'm going to do, because I don't have that long, Richard does and Armin does. Okay, cool. So most people, when I talk about the way I use the DISC behavioral profiling, they don't understand what I'm talking about, because most people use it as a tool in business, which is how I've used it over the years, helping teams to understand one another, to understand what drives your behaviour, how you can use your behaviour to help, but also how it can hinder you. And in my experience as a health practitioner these days, I see many, many people who've got themselves into trouble, myself included, by their behaviour pattern. But equally, in my case, it got me out of trouble, and it saved my life. So I'm going to run you through a typical behaviour profile report. Somebody that I did profiled recently, and I gave him live feedback on LinkedIn and YouTube. So I have his permission to share it, just in case you know him. It's unlikely, but you never know. So when people are behaving true to themselves, they will be happier, healthier, things will kind of flow nicely in their life. When people are being out of kilter with their own behaviours, they're not being authentic, that's when trouble starts. And in business, when we have the right people in the right seats doing the right work that they're suited to, the business flows. When people are in the wrong seats, doing the wrong thing, facing the wrong direction, then it all goes wrong. So the behaviour profiling piece can be used in lots of different ways, not just business, but also personal relationships. And also, I use it now for health and well-being. So I can tell by looking at somebody's behaviour pattern, the likelihood of them being ill, what they're likely to be ill with. And I've got the strategies, solutions, and access to loads and loads of health people to help them fix. And I run, Breck mentioned about a health hub that I run. So on Mondays and Fridays, I host a health networking, 2 different health networking groups. Patrick came on one recently. And then I do a monthly masterclass. So my aim is for everybody to be able to look after themselves, to take responsibility for their own health and well-being. I have a program that I use, and the DISC behavioural profile is an integral part. So I look at hair analysis, blood analysis, metabolic analysis, and behaviour. So I'm going to show you the typical report that I go through with people in the short time that I've got. So is everybody with me? Is that all okay so far? Cool. Okay, so share screen. Okay, share screen. Here we go. So this is a behaviour chart. The report goes into, I think it's about 22 pages. I don't intend going through every page with you, but I just want to give you some headlines. So by the time we're 7, our behaviour pattern is pretty fixed, and that comes from the conditioning that we receive as a child, our parents or whoever's looking after us, our environment, our culture. Loads of things go into the mix. So by the time we're 7, 8, thereabouts, the lid is on, and this is our internal profile. So this is the true behaviour pattern. We want to see all of the patterns looking the same on the chart. Our internal pattern and our external should look the same ideally. And that means when they're the same, that means that the person is comfortable in their own skin. They're not changing their behaviour from their natural style at home versus their public mask that they're putting on. So whether it's a school child with peer pressure, whether it's in the workplace, you're behaving in a way that's not congruent with who you are, that will cause health problems. So you can see here, just by looking at these top 2 charts, the internal profile of this particular person versus the external profile. This person at the time the form was completed was behaving in a totally different manner to his natural style. So that's the red rag to a bull. That is a sure sign that that person is unwell. On a short-term basis, it's not a problem, but on a long-term basis, it's not sustainable. So I want to do more work in virtual work in corporations, looking at this stuff, because I can tell, as I say, literally by looking at the charts, and each movement on the chart will tell me different things. And as I say, I know how to unravel it. So looking at this individual, the DISC mnemonic, DISC, direct, inspiring, supportive, and conscientious. And we've got the measurements here that this person has scored. So this is their natural behaviour. So I and S are both people orientated characteristics. So this is a people person. He's not bothered about the directness, the ego, being in charge, taking control. He's not bothered about process either. He's not terribly conscientious. He's more on the people side of things. This is a behaviour pattern that is very good for somebody who's a trainer, a teacher, an actor, an artist of some kind, on the stage, in front of people. At that time, he completed the questionnaire. It's an online questionnaire that I have on the back end of my website. He was completely reversing his behaviour. So he was becoming more direct. His conscientiousness, which is about following process and procedure, that was going up, to the detriment of the people side of things. So his people stuff was going on the floor, and his taking on board a challenge, taking control, and doing things in a structured, ordered fashion. So what these charts tell me is there's a conversation to be had. So anybody in the coaching world, this is a conversation opener. If you Googled DISC, you will come up with different words. When I trained about 16 people many years ago, over 25 years ago, and we came up with these words: direct, inspiring, supportive, and conscientious, because the real word, when you look up DISC and you Google it, you'll come up with dominance. And we found that when we were giving feedback to people who were dominant, I'm not dominant. So of course, it's being true to the dominant style. And we thought, no, we're not having this. And we created these softer words, but still keeping the DISC mnemonic. So what the system does, it picks up your natural style. It tells what you're currently behaving like. And the external profile can change at any given time. The internal profile is the thing that people need to understand, because that doesn't change your whole life. And that's why a lot of people go through their life trying to be somebody they're not, and it doesn't work. You know, the sooner you understand who you are, which is why I mentor students in schools through a charity that I've trained in England, and other people that I've mentored over the years. And if I'd known my profile when I was at school, I perhaps wouldn't have got myself into so much trouble. But there we go. That's another story for another day. So the system looks at what your natural behaviour pattern is, what your current behaviour pattern is, and it says, okay, typical day-to-day pattern. We have a summary profile. The summary profile here, you can see, is the person trying to be all things to all people, and they're not being terribly effective on anything. The system picks up the level of behaviour shift. So you can see here we've got shifts in all directions. D, I, S, and C are shifting. The system picks up the biggest shift, and here he's got two big numbers. Direct and inspiring are both 39%. One's going up by 39%, one's going down by 39%. That translates, we call that tension. So this person is under tension by a factor of 39%. So I haven't got time to go with all the ins and outs of where it comes from. This chart tells you what all the shifts mean. Again, I haven't got time. I'm sorry about this rushing through, but as I say, the vet can't see us any other time, and I need to get this little fellow chipped. So the system picks up the attention. So we've seen that that's 39%. The system also tells us how adaptable the person is. Now, I very rarely see people more than about 20% adaptable. 15 to 20% is normally what I see. Bearing in mind, I do work a lot of the time with accountants and lawyers because of my background that I touched on earlier. So this person has got a really good adaptability factor, way higher than the average person. It's 38%. The system then checks the level of tension versus the adaptability. And you can see here, this person has just exceeded by 1% the adaptability. So this conversation kind of went along the lines of, okay, what was happening when you filled the questionnaire and your behavior was changing totally? What was happening? So this individual was doing things that were completely unnatural for him. He was writing a course. So he's normally a person who's delivering a course. This particular time, he was actually writing a course. So it's totally against what he likes to do, what he's, typically good at. So he was having to really concentrate, follow procedure and system, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's fine. We know that was a temporary situation. And next time he profiles himself, I would expect to see everything all looking the same. So that's how you tell whether somebody is out of kilter or not. I'll just keep whizzing through. When I first got trained in this in way back in the 90s, I was mentoring head teachers, senior management teams, and one of the head teachers came to me and said, "We love all this stuff. It's made a real difference to our senior management team in the school overall. We want to get it in the classroom. How do we do that? My kiddies are only 5 to 10-year-old. Obviously, we can't get them to fill questionnaire in, so we came up with these pictures." So you can tell by just looking at these pictures, the behaviour type of differences. So very often in a situation, we will get people thinking that they're being bullied. So the high S's in particular, they're the soft, cuddly, fluffy people. If they're in a situation where they're facing the lion type behaviours, you can see that the lion's likely to eat the puppy for breakfast. The high S person will take on everybody else's stuff. Typically, these are healers type of people, and they're often the first people to get ill because they're taking on other people's woes, troubles. They worry if they haven't got anything to worry about. Whereas the Ds don't worry about anything, they just crack on with things. Just take the bull by the horns and get on with life. The Is are the fun-loving, it's very social, outgoing. So D and I are both outgoing characteristics. S and C are both internally referenced and will hold on to things, thoughts, worries, etc. Whereas you know what's happening with the Ds and the Is because you can physically see it in their behaviour. So just scooting through. There's a chart here I want to show you about the illnesses. Okay, oh, EQ. Just touch briefly on EQ. There's lots of stuff written these days about EQ, emotional quotient. So we have our IQ and we have our EQ. EQ is really, really important to understand how we can manage ourselves and how in the management of ourselves, we can also manage relationships. And the more we are aware, so in the personal competence sections, it's about being self-aware and then self-managing. So I know with my behaviour pattern, I'm too much for some people. My behaviour pattern is high D, high I, and my S and my C are lower. So I know when I'm meeting people who are S and C styles, I will physically put my hands behind my back. I'll train myself to listen more rather than talk more. And so therefore I'm self-aware, I'm self-managing. When you know that, you can then be more aware of how you differ to other people, how other people are different to each other, and you can therefore manage that relationship. So in a very, very quick nutshell, the EQ, Professor Daniel Goleman at Harvard University coined the phrase EQ in around about 1994 when he published his first book. So if you haven't come across that, I highly recommend. And he's also on LinkedIn, Daniel Goleman, really good work. So it's about understanding yourself, understanding other people that really makes for good relationships. So when we, in the work context and in relationships as well, so I can tell whether somebody is suitable for a role or not. So for example, on the left here, we've got an accountant role. This is a typical behaviour pattern for an accountant, the high S and C, the low D and I. This isn't about boxing people. This is about looking at leading characteristics. It's about identifying what the strengths of behaviour are and ensuring people are in those situations that play to their strengths rather than trying to be something they're not and getting themselves in a pickle. So if I have a client who's looking for an accountant, this is a typical pattern I would see on the left. If I have a candidate for that client with this behaviour pattern on the right, you can tell that they're not compatible, chalk and cheese. However, if you were to superimpose the candidate profile on the accountant role, you would see we have DIS and C. We have all of the characteristics. So we would have a good team. So it depends what the client is looking for and whether they're looking for somebody who wants to do the work or manage the thing. So it's important to get the brief on the recruitment piece. I'm not a recruiter. I just provide this part of the equation. So there's lots of different behaviour patterns that we see here, and I give guidance on how to manage the different styles. this is the one I was looking for here. So these are common behavior challenges, sorry, health challenges that people have. So the D's and the I's tend to take on too much and are likely to get burnout, which is what happened to me, hence stage 4 cancer. And as I said before, my behavior pattern got me into trouble, but it also got me out of hock as well, because I'm direct, bloody minded, take on a challenge, do things properly and just crack on with things, and I can focus when I need to. That got me out of trouble within 3 months. And so that's why I've ended up helping a lot of people also do the same situation, whether it's cancer or diabetes, or I've helped people reverse dementia, arthritis, all kinds of things. S and C's typically would, as I mentioned before, holding on to things, holding on to thoughts and things and worrying. So the type of illnesses they likely to suffer from are internally referenced. So things like skin conditions, constipation, stomach ulcers, those type of things. And on the report that comes off, there's various different words that describe the different characteristics. When we say high, the center line on the charts here, the center line here is the 50 marker. Anything above the line, they're the typical behavior pattern that we would see first of all. But you can't tell when you first meet somebody what style they are, because they could be presenting an external mask, they could be presenting a different version, they could be presenting the version that they think they should be behaving like, which is not necessarily their own style. So that's a huge quick run through, which hopefully I've not rattled on too much, but given you just a very brief insight into how I use this profiling with the work that I do. Any questions? I've got 3 minutes, 2 minutes. Yes, Moshe.
I've attended something similar before in a completely different area. And something you said at the end is what I really had to wonder about. Breck and I probably are different kinds of people, besides the fact that he's successful and I'm not. But on a serious note, just because the same way our country's polarized, because we have people who believe in one side and people believe on the other side, and the goal is to try to find some kind of a compromise where people can speak with each other and so forth and discuss things in a collegiate way to come to some kind of mutual conclusion. Aren't there ways to bring people who are different and in advance let them know this person is usually this way, this person is usually that way, and try to adapt for it, knowing that you still have your own instincts and it may be an issue to some point, but it lessens the friction within the initial relationship, or maybe even long-term relationship, potential relationship of the people.
Yeah, absolutely right, spot on. And that's why it's our own responsibility to learn about us. And because I know about my behavior pattern and I know I'm too much, so I'm the lion and the dolphin. So when I meet people who are not like me, it's up to me to adapt my behavior pattern to make them more comfortable and to listen more to them, because I tend to talk and not listen so much. But over many years, I've kind of trained myself to behave a little better. But yes, if you know that about somebody, you know how to behave, how to present information. So D's and I's are like bullet points, S and C's like lots and lots of detail. So when you're presenting data to people, if you're aware of, or if you can present in ways that show the detail for those who want to delve into it, or high level bullet points for those who just want the brief information.
Elaine, that was fascinating. Thank you. Really interesting. You triggered me straight away when you were talking about profiling people. And I've worked, well, some years ago with a guy who was a real bully. His main, it would seem that his main premise was to upset people. And, but I don't know, there are people you have to take on. If you're going to try and work with them, you have to start asking them questions. And how does this profiling help?
It's a conversation opener. I think it's about 80% of the relationship building when we understand ourselves and how we differ to other people. But it also goes into the values. So I do a lot of I've done a lot of teaching in personal development over the years. I was trained by Bob Proctor, the late Bob Proctor, personally. I don't know if some of you know him, but he was kind of grandfather type person to Tony Robbins. So I trained with him in the 90s. So when people are aware, when they're emotionally aware, when they have a high EQ and they're aware of themselves, and this EQ piece I mentioned earlier on, and the value piece works, if everybody is working to the same end goal, and you can then appreciate that some people are going to be like the hare, some people are going to be like the tortoise, the pace that we do everything is going to be different. Some people will be, cleverer than others. They'll quickly grasp what needs to be done. Other people will take more time to grasp what's necessary, and so on. So it's not just the behavior piece, it's looking at the wider picture. Well, what's the purpose of this project? What's the purpose of this relationship? Why are we here? And let's all kind of work together in collaboration.
Yeah, very similar to a mind mapping project that we did early on with our company, and we actually even placed a visual picture of the mind map of each employee and pasted it outside their cubicle or their office.
Yeah.
So when you're going in to speak with somebody, you take a quick look at that and literally get that fast. Hey, I need to put this very bullet point for this individual, because
Yes.
not to profile, but a lot of our IT people, they just want the bullet points.
Yeah.
And then somebody that's more touchy and feely, you need to go into a little more backstory and how's your day, and find out how they're feeling rather than just jump into this is what I need.
Yeah. When I send emails now or any form of message, I'll write I'll instantly just write what I need to write. And then I'll go back and I'll top and tail it to soften it, because just me coming out with what's what, and I'm known for my directness, which some people are comfortable with, some people are not. But over the years, I've just
Elaine, does this mean you're very left brain?
Now I'm mixed.
Or you're in balance now, are you?
Yes, I'm in. Yeah, my profile is completely in balance, and I've got my profiles going back 20 odd years.
Very good. Marsha, you reminded me there of what you said. I have a book at the moment, The Anatomy of Peace, and it's a classic. And it talks about the conflicts at home, at work, and in the world stem from the same root cause. It's so interesting, so interesting.
That sounds a good book.
I got a question. So when you have this profile and you see that these medical problems occur from this personality, how does that relate to nutrition?
How does it relate to nutrition?
Yeah, so in other words, nutrition can create a lot of these different issues. So, but is it because of their profile that they do things a certain way, which relates to poor nutrition, or what? How does that work?
Again, it goes back to the conditioning that they've been brought up with, the environment that they're currently living in. So you get so many people working at such a fast pace, they claim they don't have time to eat properly. So certain personality styles will be like, so the high Ds will be fast, poor nutrition, because they'll be eating on the hoof, they won't sit down and eat properly, and so on and so forth. So you can kind of have an indication, but it's more the culture, the environment, the current relationship status the person has, how much they love themselves. I mean, there's a whole load of stuff. It's not just like I can tell by looking at the profile about their nutrition. That's a bigger picture. That's another story. That's another piece to it. So I've not noticed this particular pattern for nutrition, but it's very clear to see quickly from somebody's environment how they're currently behaving. And it's, nutrition, as Armin, goes, deep. Some people, sports nutrition is different to regular nutrition. And common sense at the end of the day, isn't it? Common sense for however the person is living, however they want to run their lives is entirely up to them, but it will be determined by what their natural behavior characteristics are and what's going on around them in their life. Who are they persuaded by? What toxicity?
So what you're saying, they're going to be influenced by other things that they feel are going to help their behavior continue at the pace that they want to. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are some behavior styles that are addictive, and it's the blend. So you can have any blend. We've all got DISC in us to a greater or lesser extent, but we've got more of, not typically you have two stronger characteristics and two less obvious, but we've all got the characteristics in us. But it's knowing what you're comfortable with, following your intuition. So for example, I use the example on the chart there about the accountant on the left picture and then the candidate on the right. I've run law firms, I've run accountancy practices, but don't ask me to do the thing. I'm not interested in the thing, but I'm more strategic management, big picture, organizing, project management, all that sort of stuff. My skill isn't doing the thing. My behavior isn't doing the thing. I'd get more rigid with it. I need variety. So again, that's why I go back. It's the conversation. It's the wider thing. What are the values? I've walked out of some really senior positions because the values, my values and the organizational values were poles apart. So, the values is a huge big piece of this as well, because you can have a high D person who is a great philanthropist or the next criminal, there's all sorts.
So
I
yeah,
must.
With the high D person, after I've had a meeting with him or her, a nice gift to help them do better is a bottle 2 bottles of Balance of Nature. For the nutrition aspect.
Yeah. Who knows? I wouldn't bother sending anything to a high D, to be honest, because
as a high D, I can tell you that wouldn't make any difference to me.
I'd be skeptical. I'd go, well, what's this dude want? I must go. I really have got to take the dog to the vet, and they can't see me any other time. I'm so sorry about rushing, but I'll see you next week.
Elaine,
All right, thanks,
we
Elaine.
haven't seen the dog. We haven't met the dog.
The dog, hopefully, is behaving quietly. I've got to rugby tackle him now to get the harness on in the car. So, okay, bye for now. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Happy Sadie Hawkins Day.
Thank you.
Take care. All right. Well, appreciated that. And hopefully you all know how to get in connection with Elaine if you have other questions. If not, I'll certainly provide her contact information to each of you that doesn't know how to reach her. So we've got a smaller group today, so I think we'll just stay in one room and not do breakouts, and we'll just go around the horn and say hi to everyone. And Michelle, would love to start with you first, if you'd be willing to go first and tell us a little more about what you do.
Yeah, sure. So I think I met everybody except for Pamela. I just sent you a LinkedIn request. I am Michelle Elster. I am CEO and owner of Rabin Roberts Research. Our company is a 61-year-old organization. I'm a second-generation owner of the company. We conduct qualitative and quantitative marketing research to support companies when they're making large business decisions. So we support them with market research data to help guide those decisions in a statistically intelligent manner. That's what we do. I live in Chicago. I'm married, 3 kids. Been doing this a long time.
Yeah, please put your information up in the chat.
Sure, I'll do that. Thank you.
Most of us know you and how to connect, but for Pamela, and we'll invite Pamela to do the same too, if you'd like. At least your LinkedIn profile link, if you'll put that up in the chat for us to connect with you. And if you don't mind, we like to go ladies first. So Pamela, would you like to go next?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so nice to meet everybody, by the way. This is my first time. So my name is Pamela Ifeanyi-Ezeukwu. I am originally from Nigeria, but I live in California with my husband and 3 kids. I am the CEO of OCC-Palm Digital. I am an affiliate marketer. I started 2 years ago. And I work with a company that has been in existence for 50 years. So what I do presently is to plug people into our system. We have a community of business owners, about 200,000 of us. So I plug people into the system that I use because it's quite affordable and it's automated and it's you have a community of over 200,000 people, to work with. So, the way things are very difficult these days for people because of inflation. So this gives people opportunity to make some, if you're working, that's fine, you can keep your job, make some extra income by the side, or take it as the full time, all towards becoming financially free. And for those who need time, especially for young parents who have kids and pursuing careers in their workplaces, it also accords you the opportunity of having time to stay with your kids and also earn a living without having to leave your job or stay at home full time. And there are also people who have worked for so long and they are worried about their financial situation when they probably retire, what they have, their 401k and all that, is it going to be able to sustain them in their golden years? So this also gives such people opportunity to save money for their golden years without having to rely on their children or, the mega resources they have to live the kind of life they want. And also there are people also who want to retire early. They don't want to work up to 65, 70 years before they retire. So this is also an opportunity for them to retire early, because we have people who have retired at the age of 42, 28, 30 something, because they are financially stable to be able to do that. So that's what I do. I help people to start off this business and mentor them through their journey.
That's excellent. Well, welcome to the group. I hope you can join us again. And what is the company that you're an affiliate with?
Sorry?
What is the name of the company that you're an affiliate with?
Enagic.
Enagic. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Richard, why don't you go next? And if you wouldn't mind going into a little more detail of what the project that you and Damar and I are working on.
Sure, absolutely. My company is Incent Advisors, and everybody knows my 30-second pitch, but my company gives money to businesses. What we do is we identify and help implement the government to tax strategies, the incentives, and credits that are available for businesses and they don't know that they exist. We focus on small to mid-sized businesses, and all of the programs that we work with bring cash in, but there's no real cost for them, because they are they are all paid for by the actual tax savings. So what Breck's referring to is that Damar and Phil and I and Breck are we've begun a webinar series focused on going out to pharmacies. And what we've done is we've created this. Breck obviously has all the connections to the pharmacies, and the Damar and Breck and Phil and I are bringing to them the it's pretty. Damar helps them double their profit in 5 minutes. I help them reduce their taxes by 20 to 40%, and then Phil helps them know how to maximize their income in retirement. So we try to do that. We just had our first meeting for our first webinar. It happened to be a day that a lot of pharmacies were hit by a tech issue, right, Brett?
Yeah,
that was
cyber
there,
attack.
Yeah, exactly. So I laugh about it. So only two people attended, but I got one of them. We just submitted his stuff. So, as far as I'm concerned, we had a 50% return. So
Yeah, I don't know if we can beat those odds again.
I don't think
That's
we beat those
amazing.
percentages at least,
Yeah,
but we'll see what we can do.
good deal.
Yeah,
Patrick,
and
why
as
don't you go next?
we're
Oh,
treating
sorry.
it as we're treating it as a repetitious webinar. Every other Thursday, we're focusing on specific states right now, and then we'll figure out how we tie it from there. So
Yeah.
that's what we're doing.
Thanks, Richard. Appreciate that. All right, Patrick, all the way from Ireland
How
and
you
back
doing,
from
everybody? How you
Budapest.
doing? How you doing? It's great to be here, and thanks for organizing this every week, yourself and Bob. Look, I'm Patrick from Ireland, and I'm retired. I'm over 70 years of age, and I'm celebrating 48 years as a type 1 diabetic, now on 60% less insulin. And a few years ago, I stumbled across a health technology that has absolutely transformed my life. So I made it my mission to go and tell the world that this technology exists and that people deserve to know about it. They deserve to explore what it could do for them. And so this is my mission. Basically, is living in a healthy, vibrant body important to you? And this will qualify you, because some people, you have to ask them that. And look, my details are in the chat. If you'd like to know some more, be great.
All right, thank you, Patrick. Next up, Amar Armin, we've been kicking around the idea of pulling you into when we have these interviews with the retired athletes, but that hasn't taken off yet. So hopefully it will soon, because Armin has an amazing program for men's health, and he can help women too, but he really specializes in men's health.
So you want me to go into that a little
Go,
bit?
please. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, I'm 60 and I've been involved with health and fitness for 40 years. And so as time goes by, things always change. But when I got my late 40s and I started noticing my energy levels weren't the same, my strength wasn't the same, my recovery wasn't the same. So then I started studying the aging process. So since I was like 46. Anyway, so as time has gone by, what I specialize in now is I just recently got a certification as well as a longevity coach, because of the things that I had to learn to improve, my physical health through extensive lab work and what medical professionals I work with. And there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to working for medical groups, because again, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and the medical community doesn't change real quickly to some of the new technologies. So what I do is if somebody's struggling with their health, or how they feel about themselves, their physique, and everything that comes with that, then I do a deep dive analysis on a call, and then determine, if we're going to be a good fit, and put together the different solutions. And the solutions are going to help them with understanding, first of all, mindset for the aging process, nutrition. There's a lot of parts of that, and that's a whole can of worms for most people. Then supplementation, there's a lot of wasted money in that, but there are a lot of benefits. And then exercise strategies, there's a lot of different opinions on that. The things that I'm doing, though, are the things that I found to work really well. And then we go into recovery, sleep. That's a whole nother curve. And then finally, hormone optimization. People don't understand hormones. Why would they? But there's a lot to know. The medical community is not very helpful. But just so you know, hormones are the messengers that tell your body how to operate. So they're going to decline naturally because they're secreted from soft tissue glands. And so there's strategies you can use to keep them in optimal levels with nutrition, supplementation. But at some time there may need to be, prescription involved depending on what your situation is. But this is all determined through extensive lab work and then reviewed. So just, depending on your situation or somebody you care about, if they're just not happy with where things are going, I've got plenty of clients I've helped, and I do get them quick results, because if they don't get quick results, they don't stay motivated. So,
Yep. Yeah. Thanks, Oman. It's great to have you here. And Damar, you're up next. And Damar and I work on a couple of projects together. The one Richard talked about, and then we also help community pharmacies set up wellness centers right in the pharmacy. Damar. You're on mute, my friend. Take yourself off mute.
Sorry about that. So as Brick and Richard kind of alluded to, we're just starting a series for community pharmacy. And one thing that you may or may not be aware of is there's over 20,000 or roughly around 20,000 community pharmacies in the United States. And Forbes has predicted that between 10 to 20% of them will close and in 2024. So that's roughly somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 community pharmacies. And that really affects the rural community the most. And so I'm have transitioned from being a pharmacist to being a business coach, just because I'm at a point where I can help through kind of listening, and a pharmacy owner, help them to systematize their business and really show them how to generate kind of the same profit, looking at their financials, looking at their costs and their overhead, and working specifically with Breck to get them to pick the type of customer that they want to service, as opposed to just servicing, the insurance, the regulated insurance company, and filling prescriptions, and teach them how they can do it, with about 25% of the revenue that they need to have, and show them how to double their profits in a very short period of time, looking at their cutting costs and raising prices. And then so from that standpoint, and then just get them to realize that their existing customers are really their gold mine, and show them exactly where they're leaving money on the table in their business. And so from that standpoint, that's what I do. And but really everything I talk about specifically for community pharmacies, I can help with small businesses.
Awesome. Thanks, Damar. Moshe, you're up next. Moshe is also involved in healthcare as well and has a very unique way of helping patients.
Okay.
There we go. Now we can hear
Yes.
you.
My proficiency with the mouse still needs improvement. Anyway, my name is Moshe Math. I'm with Neurotrained Science. I'm a partner in the company. And our way of going about it is to give people instead of a regular back massage, what they call a sonic massage. So they're still in zero gravity, which is the least amount of stress on the body and the spine. But it uses sound, light, and vibration to take people's mind into a voyage of relaxation, brainwave entrainment. So the reason I was late for the meeting today was because my computer froze up. So I had to actually leave the program, I was actually waiting for Breck to let me in, had to get out of all that, turn the computer off, wait, turn it on again. And luckily the computer let me restore everything, and I was able to make things happen and come back, although late. I'm saying that because that's what we're doing with the brain. For people who are high intensity individuals who do a lot of work, try to get much done, at times your brain can only handle so much information. And then what was that commercial? Calgon, take me away. So I view our system as that remedy, and we're doing it for the brain and for the mind. Meanwhile, for those who have pain issues after severe determined workouts and things like that, we help as well, because some of that is with blood flow, as Breck has talked about with his product, which is excellent. But there's also part of the brain thinks is a problem. And as long as the brain thinks it's a problem, it's going to continue to send reinforcements to an area, even if the area has been resolved, until the brain is rebooted to know that there isn't a problem anymore and doesn't receive a signal. And through the brainwave entrainment, we're achieving that as well. So this can be used in sports. I'm hoping to get involved with that in greater detail in other ways. And thank you all for your time and listening to. Referrals for me would be colleges, but also would be spas, because this can be used as part of a spa. People could pay for this just like they do other aspects of the spa, or it could be part of a spa day as a I love to go to the hibachi restaurant. So you have a buffet, or you do things a la carte, and the system could be used that way as well. We have a business model for spas and other charge per use type of operations. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And everyone here knows what I do. Maybe just for Pamela's benefit, I'm in healthcare, been in healthcare for 20 years. That pharmacy group that Mar talked about, that's almost 20,000 independents. It's a little less than that now, but if you count some of the grocery store chains, then it's 20,000 plus. They're all partners of mine in my company, ServeRx. So we have a network of over 20,000 pharmacies that we're now looking at putting these health hubs right inside of the pharmacy. And just because it's in a pharmacy doesn't mean that we're prescribing a lot more medications. In fact, we're doing the exact opposite. We're actually getting patients off of medications that are doing more harm than good. And so we had been calling the project the Fountain of Youth, which, because there's some longevity things like Armin talked about. There's some anti-aging longevity solutions that are being incorporated. But to get away from sounding too new age or to just focusing on functional medicine and not mainstream, the name is being changed to BRIM, and the tagline, "Live life to the brim." And so you'll see those clinics starting to pop up. But again, the focus isn't, it's personalized medicine. So there are some prescriptions that are needed. We do a fairly good job in Western medicine treating treating the acute condition. So an infection, a broken bone. Western medicine's great at setting that bone back in place. There's no amount of prayer or meditation or healing crystals that'll put a bone back where it needs to go. You need a doctor to set that. Where we do fall down though is on the chronic side, where people are on a medication month in and month out that's actually doing more harm than good. And so through some of the approaches that people have talked about here, by having other solutions, including nutrition, vitamins, supplements, or other things, Patrick has the redox and other things that are very beneficial for those more chronic issues rather than a prescribed medication. So we can customize those approaches and personalize the medicine for a patient through pharmacogenomics. Now, we now have science that actually tells us their DNA and their rate of metabolism, and then make sure that we're matching the correct medications or supplements for that patient's individual needs. So look for a BRIM wellness center to pop up near you, hopefully here in the near future. And I appreciate everybody being here today. It was great seeing you all. Really appreciated Elaine's presentation. And if anyone needs any help connecting with her, please reach out to me and let me get you connected with her. Everyone's information is in the chat. So just at the bottom of your chat, all those icons there, if you just click on those three little dots and save the chat, then you'll have everyone's information. Thank you, Pamela, for joining us today and providing your information. You'll have a great rest of your week.